Welcome back. Thank you once again for hanging out with us. This is the 500th episode of the one and only IT in the D Show. I'm your host, Bob Waltenspiel, hanging out with co-host, producer extraordinaire, Randy Walker. We have an all-star ensemble for our 500th. We have, in order of appearance, we have in the house, it's been a long time. We have Jeff, the voice of reason, Mackey, in the house. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
It's awesome to see you. And then also we have Nuri, the FNG. Since there hasn't been an FNG since you are always going to be the FNG. Nuri, how you doing, sir?
You know, some titles you just don't shake, and sometimes you're just okay with that. So
yeah, let's roll with it. And then of course, Jer Stays from Daily Detroit. I think you were on last week. We brought you back because you've been a huge part of the show, and we were super happy to have you and to be buds with you. So thank you, Jer, for hanging out with us.
Absolutely. Look, lugging coolers up elevators has gotten me somewhere, sir.
That's where I wanted to start.
Oh my God.
That was so this was the routine when we did our first show. It was at Raw Radio X Studios in which wasn't even a podcast studio. They were just doing live. I don't even know what they were doing there.
I don't know what they were doing there.
I think they were.
I don't think they knew what they were. I don't think they knew what they were doing. No.
It was $15 for an hour, and we did a 2-hour show. And we would start at 3rd Street because if we had guests, there's no way they would find where we were. We had to basically go together. And once we got to the Russell, this was the rock, paper, scissors for the manual elevator. And we were praying to God when we'd roll up, that would be on the first floor. If it wasn't, we had to pretty much we sacrificed Jeff to go up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, no. It was always me. Hey, Mackie, go up to the 3rd floor, get the elevator.
You're skinnier than all of us. And it's like this old manual crickety. You felt like you were in the what was the movie? Not Saw, the one with the where they stole the people, where they stole the body parts in Czech Republic. Hostel.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Well, yeah, that was your joke. That they always film Saw 3 on the 3rd floor.
Yeah,
when we were there.
Yeah, nice. And we would cram into this little space and sitting there munching on Chicago mixed popcorn, Slim Jims, cracking cans of beer, and I don't want to say it's one of the most memorable things, but I'll be damned if that wasn't, Jeff, one of the cooler, except for episode 69, which I still have never listened to. Probably one of the most fun I've ever had as a human being.
It was a blast, and I remember it went by so fast. 11 o'clock hit, and we're like, "What the hell? What just happened?"
What was 69, Bob? Why was it so bad?
Episode 69, we brought in Mark Larson. That brought in a keg of beer, and someone
for the 3 of you
for the 6 barrel.
We always,
but you had a keg of beer for the 6 of you. Okay,
yeah.
It was a pony or something.
There was a porn star in the studio. Her name was Kelly Jean, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And I hate girls in baseball caps, and I hate girls even more with embroidered, bedazzled baseball caps. And she kept eating the microphone and just going, "Yeah." Sorry for that. And a lot, she was saying that a lot. And I'm just
her Facebook page is down now.
Oh, is it? Oh,
I found the link from the old episode page.
Is it gone? Oh, you have to work really hard you guys know me. You guys have to work really hard for me not to like you as a human being. If I could have thrown her off the roof of the Russell, I was so I've never been that angry before. I think in my life,
did we get a group shot of that, of the guests from that night? Usually we had a group shot. Is it out there somewhere, Randy?
It's on the website. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to
December 14th, 2014.
Oh,
wow.
Oh, her page is live. I just wasn't logged into Facebook.
Oh, Jesus. And I don't know whose great idea was to bring her on. And even though I was loose about the show, I still took it very seriously. I wanted it to be good. And that one was I told her, don't even listen to it. Don't, this is, Well,
was that a legit guest of ours, or was that something that she was a holdover from? Because remember, we were sandwiched in between a show before us and something going on may or may not be happening after us, right? And there's always people floating in and out.
I don't know. That was invited for episode 69. That was a thing. God knows what hole they pulled her out of. But
wait, were you there, Jer?
No, I don't think I was there for that one.
Because we mentioned Daily Detroit in that episode, but
maybe I was there. All I can think of now is that I want to buy Bob a pink bedazzled hat. Like I want to stop by a liquor store over on McNichols or 6 Mile and like get you the best pink bedazzled hat I can find.
Yeah, it's
gotta
gotta
be yeah.
Yeah,
gotta say yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is gonna have to happen now. Yeah, and just have it just shipped to your house. Just arrive.
I think those are my president of the PTO days, and that hat reminds me of like all like the housecoat mafia moms that I was such a had such a fondness for, and then and again, girls in baseball caps, it's not a thing. Like I'm so against that. And her voice, man, was probably one of the most ungodly. Who was episode 1, Jeff? I think was it Wolfgang Gerlich? I'm trying to remember. I don't know how we pulled off having 2 guests every show.
Well, didn't we have the 2 girls? The recruiters.
We totally did. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the leather and lace. Remember?
It totally was. Yeah, because everyone got dressed up. It was like this was like an event.
We had one girl show up. She was dressed in a skin tight leather outfit. What was her name? Michelle
Serbinovich.
Yeah, and what was the other girl's name? And she came in a lacy dress.
Yeah. That wasn't Erica, was it?
Yeah, it was Erica. Right, yeah, that was Erica. Yep.
I don't even know if I want to ever listen to episodes, because here's the thing, like we didn't know
we had no idea what we were doing. No,
and
it was awkward pauses. I think we were probably all way too far away from our microphones.
We were half crocked out of our minds. We were at 3rd Street with nervous anxiety.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we were all at least 5 or 6 beers in. We probably shouldn't have been driving from 3rd Street to Russell in the first place.
No, exactly.
We had no idea where we were going. And didn't we have Russ with us too? We had Dotson with us.
Oh, Russ was there, yeah.
Yeah.
Brightwing Security B-sides. I'm looking at the SoundCloud. God, it's all this crap existence SoundCloud.
Yep.
Here's the link on our website too.
Oh my God, this was like, oh, it's so funny. I don't even think, did we have an intro then? Because that was the one thing that was like the running joke of our show, is the 5-minute intro of like all the damn stupid sound bites. And that was the one thing, I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. We when I was at one of the Comic-Cons at Macomb College, Timok was there from the Last Dragon. And I was there with Mark, and I said, give me your phone. And he used like the Verizon recorder. And I said, can you just say you're listening to IT and the D? And him, like 100 other ones were like, this is Timok Bruce Leroy. And you're listening to ITD. Like no one knew how to pronounce it.
No one.
I would write it out. I would explain it, and they would still mess it up.
But you guys had some amazing drops over the years. I don't know if anybody still has it, but I remember when Huel Perkins did "You're listening to IT and the D." Hell yeah! Like with like when he read those texts from Kwame
it was
Kilpatrick.
Blown out.
You guys had some. Okay,
it was the Huel was blown out because we did that at the Lions charity event, and we got to like him and Dan Miller and Jennifer Hammond and all them were there, and we got him to do like hell yeah, we got him to do. That was when he read the Kwame texts live on the, and I think Drew and Mike clipped it or someone clipped it. But yeah, those were the drops. That was, I think my favorite one was I only had to pay for 2 of them, and one of them was Billy D. Williams, and he had to record a voicemail, and he didn't say what he said. We had to chop it up in a voice editor. Like that's the scary part, is we made him say what he said. He only got to write 2 things. So we're like, I'm just sitting here like drinking a nice ice cold 45, and it was a voicemail, and they were like, we're going to make this into a drop, I think.
When Cameo was a big thing for a hot minute, the timing of it had been any earlier, Bob, I feel like your entire personal bank account would have been emptied out on Cameo.
I couldn't see, the problem was it wasn't the connection. That was a big thing with what we were doing, or what, you know what I mean? Like meeting someone, taking the picture, getting the drop. Like, you know, you could buy autographs off eBay, you know what I mean? But it's like, I've only done that like once in my life. Was you know, it was all about, and that was not that it made it real, but like getting like to the Comic Cons and like hanging out. Like, Jeff, I think I texted you like the picture with Zabka and Martin Cove, and like that was one of the like highlights of my life. Like literally, like going, "What are you doing?" "Oh, just hanging out with Billy Zabka, you know, talking you know."
Yep. I sometimes use that as my Facebook cover photo. Yeah, because I can't believe that we were hanging out with them, you know, at a bar, you know, and they're, you know, super cool guys. And that was one of the things where, or that weekend, or that episode, or the week of that episode, I think is where that really started to snowball for us. You know, it opened up for, you know, other geeky avenue IT audiences that weren't there before, that maybe were there before, but, you know, it exploded in popularity.
I think it was relatively speaking. Not like it validated it, but like, oh shit, these guys got, you know, Leah Thompson on their show. Like, you know, I'll never forget that one when Leah Thompson calls in, and I like first thing out of, like, didn't even plan this. Nuri, I think you were there for that, and I was like, or Jeff, maybe, but I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, the star of Howard the Duck, and she's like, what?
She couldn't stop laughing. She's like, of all the movie references you could make, you made that one.
Speaking of cameos, of course, my audio's not working. The only one I ever bought was, oh, here it is. I'm going to do it again.
It's William Hung, and you're listening to Bob and Dave on the IT in the D show. She bangs, oh baby, when she moves, I'm crazy.
That was I think that was the best $20 I think I ever spent in my life. Like, I just spent money on a lot of stupid things, but like, I'm like, William Hung's doing cameos for $20, and I go, I gotta buy that. And he sits in his car, so probably before he has to go to the grocery store, he sits in his car and bangs a couple of those out. What a brilliant idea, though, cameo. Seriously, you got like $300. People are charging like $1,500 just to give shout outs. I know. I'm like,
isn't it bizarre though? Like, that's a thing. Like, you know, I mean, podcasting, I mean, it's old now, but I mean, when we started the show in, what is it, 2013 is when it was?
2013. Yeah, it's been 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously we didn't invent podcasting, but podcasting had only been around really for, you know, less than a decade. Right. And people, you know, didn't really know what it was. I mean, yeah, you made the point about, you know, people would buy, you know, autographs at Comic Cons or whatever, but they had no idea what the hell a drop was, or, you know, a recorded intro or anything of that stuff. That was all brand new.
I think when I came on the show for the first time for PenguinCon, like, I had never listened to a podcast. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I'll go on this IT and the D show. And then I to remember the drive over from 3rd Street with Bob probably not being a good place to drive. And I'm like, what the hell have I gotten myself into? So it was,
they're being led into this warehouse that's half abandoned. It's where they filmed, you know, the Batcave.
Stinks of marijuana, and there's porn filming next door. And like, this is totally legitimate. I'll put this on my LinkedIn next week. Like,
I mean, but the thing is, Nuri, if it was totally legitimate, then it wouldn't have been as fun.
That's 100%. And that's kind of like back in old Detroit as well, right? There was a lot of those kind of vibes back in those days.
Nuri, that's one of the greatest lines that any man has ever told me to my face in my life. It's the office. It's the suite next door. This isn't like it's some weird place. We're in an industrial building, and the door's open, and there's like a motorcycle on the floor. Like, what are you guys doing here? The guy straight up says this with a straight face. He goes, oh, you know, little photography, little videography. And he just sits there for like pauses for like 10 seconds. He goes, but you know what though? Bitches don't like it when it gets cold up in here to take their clothes off. We're like, okay, my name's Bob. Like, it's nice to meet you. Like, I'll see you later. And then across the hall was the 4 grow rooms.
Yeah, the grow rooms. That's right.
Before pot was legal. And we come in one day and all of the door, whatever's frames are busted
the
out.
Padlocks were all busted. Yeah.
And the doors are open and you could just smell the weed in the drywall. And it was absolutely like, and that was the only time we couldn't record 1 week because somebody broke out of the Mound Road jail because he stabbed a guard with a pen in the neck. And they said they might be in that building because his cousin had a suite right down the hall from us.
Do you remember the one night we went to go show up to record, and we heard a movie being played from an open doorway down the hall, like on the far end of the hallway, and we walked down there, and it's this couple like living there as if it was a normal apartment in Birmingham.
Yeah,
and they had it totally furnished as if it was, if you were blindfolded, you were thinking you were in Birmingham or Troy or something. It was crazy.
Well, that was and like there's no bathrooms in those things. They were just like,
no, there's not. That's what I'm saying. Like it was a room, but like there's no kitchen. They furnished it like it was, like it was a living room in somebody's house. No bathrooms. Where do you go to do business?
Shower.
That
exactly.
explains the toothbrush that was in the bathroom, which the bathroom also had no door on the toilet, right? If I'm remembering,
they did not. No
doors at all. You were just out there in the open.
Yeah.
Hey, I got one of these.
That's 90% of the time I go to the Dakota Inn Rosskeller for an Oktoberfest. There is an elderly gentleman taking a shit because there's no door on there, and he has to say hi or like wave or like, boys, how are we doing? Like it's like literally like every time we go, there's somebody sitting on the pot with no door, and we're like, boys doing good? Like, yes sir, how you doing? Everything coming out all right? Like,
yeah, you can't help but to lock eyes, and you just kind of do the head nod. It's like, yep, how you doing?
What's up?
You're regular.
Yeah, the toothbrush on the window, like that always drove me. And then the mystery puddles, because we were like, there was a roof, and we're on the 4th floor. There was nothing above or other than other suites, and there was no open windows, air, and like in the middle of the concrete, there'd be a mystery puddle. We're like, how did that happen right there? I'll be honest with you.
You're using the term roof, and the thing is, because it was the Russell, that's a very relative term. Like, define roof in this structure that was, a layer cake of weird and oddities.
I would love to.
What I love the fact, when you pull into the property, there was a security guard, right? And you had to, roll down your window to say, yeah, you had to justify why you were there. It's like, what is he actually guarding?
If
he's more guarding.
He never checked. He never asked. He never did anything. We did lose one guest. The only time we ever lost a guest, that was the illustrious one, Phil Bertolini, the CIO of Oakland County. Could not find the building. Like I had to like get in my car and go back and find him, and like basically trail him to get back into the. Yeah, he was not.
With the way you were describing the building and then saying losing a guest, I was thinking the worst.
Oh no, we did. And then we also didn't someone lose their keys in the elevator chute? I want to say that happened.
Victoria.
Yeah, it was Victoria. Yep, they fell down the crack. Yep.
Yeah, the key fob. Like, yeah, that was. But like we lugged in a cooler with at least 30 beers. Like the food, like that was. To say that I would do that today, you would have to there's no way in God's green earth I would go through.
Well, I wouldn't trust that elevator. Like if you took me down there, I wouldn't get back on that elevator. I mean, that thing was a death trap.
For a hot second going, it'd be fun to rent the suite for 6 months and start, bring some gear. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not. That's not. No, that's not going to happen. And they got.
Right.
Here's the thing. We tried to rent that to do one of the networking events, then also for a wrestling show. And since they had Eminem film a video there, he got delusions of grandeur, and he's like, oh yeah, it's $7,000 to rent out the, where the dirty show was. I'm like, hey, come on. The whole reason I want to be here is because it's this is a, old paint factory. This isn't
me.
You know what? So here's the thing I want to go back and listen to. Oh, what's that? What I wanted to go listen to was what was the technology we talked about? What was because
geez.
I look back and I go,
well, I mean, think about this. Like, the Snowden thing just hit, right? And all the fappening and the celebrities and the hacked sites and the spying on Americans. That was huge. We talked about that for several weeks.
Yeah, I'm trying to think,
hit right around 2014.
But like, other than like AI, what was the big? Nuri, you might be better at this than me, but like, what was like the crazy stories? I'm looking at like, all right, just like episode 66 topics. Like, it's there's nothing. Oh, I said, can we? This is one of the lines from 2014. Can we rant about Twitter? Where do they get money? How? Who? What do people pay them for? What the hell do they spend money on? What is it? That was my email. It wasn't even an article. Like, was that when Twitter? When did Twitter launch? Was that like when it started?
Twitter launched in like 2008. I want to say.
Oh.
Well, like all those things started becoming mainstream right around that same time, though, right? I mean,
yeah. And then there's Brazil built its own fiber optic network to avoid the NSA. Like, these are the things we talked about. Yeah,
well, that was just crazy. It, right? We scoured the tech articles for the first 20 minutes worth of conversation, and then we tried to keep it on point with one or two guests. And for the first dozen or so episodes, I believe we were trying to be legit, so to speak, with recruiting and because the economy was still kind of on the rebound as far as like people hiring and what's the hot skill set, is it Java, is it Visual Basic, we were trying to keep it relative to the job seeker, what we thought was the audience.
We were still doing the pink slip parties when we launched.
We were still doing the pink slip parties too. Yeah, that was huge. I mean, we were trying to find that dual audience of the recruiters and the job seekers.
I think that's the biggest difference right now. Oh, what, go, Nuri?
No, I mean, it's the pink slip party. Like when the ones that I were involved with early DJing, those venues were packed, right? That was such an important thing that the show did for the community when everybody was out of work, everybody was struggling. Like, are there statistics of how many people have had jobs because of the show? There needs to be somewhere.
There was a loose number floating around.
Somewhere. Yeah,
there was a loose number floating around, and it was based on like GE saying we hired 300 people from your event. Okay, mental note. It was so and so hired Blue Cross hired 40 people. Okay, mental note. I think we got up to. It was over exaggerated. We said it was in the 2000s. I would venture to say it was around 1,000. If I was to be like people that got connected and got hired through meeting someone at those events. Yeah.
So that's where I met Jeff too. That was the big thing. Is we were forcing people out of their shells, right? I mean, the whole point was, it's a bunch of geeks in a room, and you give them a beer to, give them a little confidence to talk to somebody, talk to a recruiter.
Yeah, no, those parties. You and I were having coffee before this a little while ago, and those parties were something really special. There was that Detroit. What was his name? Chiron something. He was on Cryo, right?
Oh, Cryo, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember the giant stack of Bucharest sandwiches as tall as the eye could see. And there were just so many things that were magical about bringing so many people together. And I think I really hope that people know that that was something that really made a huge difference for people, whether they got a job through it, whether they made friends through it, whether it was just the energy of just having all of these people together wherever you threw it, whether it was Royal Oak or in the city or whatever. That is just so positive and special. And I have rarely in my career seen that here in Metro Detroit. It is a truly rare thing and special thing that y'all did.
Jared, I'm not bitter about it, but I could probably count on 5 fingers how much dollars I got from people saying, or thank yous from people saying oh, I really appreciate it. I know people that got President's Club at their companies, just coming to our events and would just casually, I'm oh, I guess that means you can buy me a beer, and they wouldn't buy me a beer,
Yeah, they'd ghost you.
Right. But the fact that we did it, I don't think people realize we did all that for nothing. We literally did it. We would charge, we would get 3 or 4 tables at $1,000 a pop. and we would lose. We would come out of there like all probably spent $500 out of pocket after we bought the first. Like I remember the first one was open bar for an hour for 2 hours.
Bar. I was like, I don't know what we were thinking there.
Right, like why did you need? Yeah, we were giving you jobs and free beer. Like, that was probably the idiot that said, "Let's do open bar."
That sounds like a Bob move, but the thing is that that's why it worked. I would argue that's why it worked, because you weren't coming in there with your own agenda for the thing, and people can smell that a mile away. And so often nowadays, the vibe is, well, I got to get mine. And I get it, right? Like people are in the corporate world and making President's Club and all that stuff. Not to demean it, but like in the grand scheme of the universe, who cares? Like, I'm glad you made money, but like that isn't like your like tombstone worth, right? But like it was that magic of bringing people together and doing that just as an act of community service, an act of fun and commiseration, which is beautiful and so rarely seen.
And I only had to kick out probably 5-6 people in my life. Like there was a guy, Affleck guy, showed up at the Hopcat one, the Woody's Diner.
I remember that. Yes,
and he was in my face. He's like, people don't want, whatever. Like they don't want to be helped.
Well, he was totally offended.
Yeah. And then the
Cutco knives. Anyone?
Yeah, right. Oh God. That's the one thing we were like, all right, what do we do? Because all these networking events suck. Like, what do? We got to keep MLM out. Like, we need to keep them out because it's not that yes, it is bad. Sorry, I was going to say it's not like it's bad. No, it's bad. But like the way people go about it, they're so hyper aggressive, and it made there's no room for that.
You mean me as a small business owner? Sorry.
I'm a CEO. You don't want to show up at 6:30 in the morning at some coffee shop to talk about your roofing business?
It's not a pyramid scheme. It's a triangle arrangement.
The first time I got exposed to that, this was a VP of CompuWare. And I was like so excited. Like that was like one of my first executive meetings. I think I'm 24. I'm selling T1s. And then he goes, "Yeah, I got to take you to this dinner tonight. We're going to meet some people." I go, I'm like, I'm getting brought into like the network, and it's a Amway, whatever they changed their name to, Quickstar or something.
Yeah. And he just said, "We need you and one other guy."
I'm like, "Did you?" Yeah, I looked at him. I'm like, "Are you kidding me, bro?" Like. And then I wasn't angry like I am now. Like now it has been like, I would have flipped my desk over and walked out. But back then I was like way too polite. But anyway, yeah. And then there was a guy at Bastogne in the basement that opened up like a box of like shoe polish, like a suitcase.
And he this guy I remember that.
He was dressed like a 1940s, like selling newspapers, like get your programs here. And it was like,
wait, I remember like you walked up to him and said, "Not here." Pack it up.
Like, what are you
doing?
You
just said, "Not here."
I just thought it was okay. Like what? Like
no.
That was the crazy thing. It's like, the people that take advantage of some of these things. Like, there's a guy that goes around to all the Comic-Cons. Speaking of that doesn't buy a booth, but he walks around with a portfolio of his work, and then like wants to like come sit with me in the lobby, and then he shows him the work, or like, oh, I'm setting up in my room for private. And I'm like, what? Buy a table? Like, what do you like? It just, I don't get why.
Ghosting. Ghosting a con.
Is that what it's called?
Yep. Exactly what it's called.
It's funny too how like I got connected to like Jared through the Pink Slip Party, Nuri through Penguicon because we had you on the show to promote. I think that story's fascinating because like you're like anyone I've ever met that like, I'm gonna move to a state that I don't know and I don't have any friends to like run a con. And like made this a home. It's kind of a, I guess we're all thankful you're here, but like that, talk to me about that story, Nuri, because I think it's fascinating.
It's hard to make good friends as an adult, I'd say. And like I was at a time in my life where my best friend in the world at the time, James Gamble, who is expecting his third child now, which makes me so happy, said, "Hey, there's this thing and it's super cool." And I got involved, the community embraced me, and that's kind of how I give back to communities. Is I may not be the geekiest, I may not be the burneriest for my Burning Man affiliations, etc. But you know what? I can organize some shit. And that's how I got involved with PenguinCon. And I'm like, this is the place I need to live. I was in New York at the time. I'm like, I need to get out of New York City because I can't afford to live here at the level I want. And my wife at the time and I just dropped all of our stuff and came to Michigan and never looked back. So
there was
it's been good.
Nuri, there was a 3-year stretch where I think PenguinCon was like the perfect con. Jeff, I don't know if you got to go to any of them, but it started as an open source Linux convention, but it turned into like an open source human thing where like if you are really good at, building model airplanes, and you're going to have a class for half an hour going building model airplanes for dummies, just don't sniff the glue. But like that's so like there was a whole day was like 40 rooms and it was all unique things that you can learn and like share.
Yeah, it was people were giving talks, right? It was like workshops and things like that. Yeah.
All community created, no one was paid, none of the guests of honor were paid, and there was like a lot of really large guests of honor that the con had over the time. Like Bruce Schneier was one of my favorites.
I'm not that big, Nuri. Come on.
No, Bob Waldenspiel was a guest of honor. Yeah.
Figuratively and literally big.
Cory Doctorow was one of them, right? So I think we diversified too much, and that also may have been some of the downfall. Because like if your IT people aren't coming because there's not enough IT content, like I don't know. And PenguinCon's had some really hard years the last couple of years, but I'm also really excited that there's a new group of people who are really excited to kind of take it and run with it again and breathe some life into it. And that's the great thing about community organizations, right? So
yeah.
I'm glad I moved here, dude.
Yeah. No, we're happy here too. Tron Guy was an active guest at this thing, Jeff. I don't know if you remember him. The guy that used to dress up in that like blue neon outfit and like
he was larger than life. Yeah,
he shouldn't have been wearing the dry ice. Right, exactly, dude. So like I got to drop this one. So the Great Lakes Comic-Con, I don't know if you guys like the guy that Mike, the teacher that runs the one out of Macomb College. It's a fantastic con. He always has like one wrestler and like one comic guy. So like one year it was like William Catt from Greatest American Hero and like Sergeant Slaughter, right? It's super limited, but it's all about the art and the creators and the books, right? He's big on all that. This year, and I'm in the midst of securing it. I'm dropping it now. You've heard it here first. Sam Jones, aka Flash Gordon, aka Savior of the Universe, aka the golden-haired, I don't know what else. Quarterback New York Jets. He's going to be at Great Lakes Comic-Con, and yours truly is going to. We got some time with him, so and then I might be hosting Flash Gordon trivia, talk about properties of Flash Gordon. So the 13-year-old in me is like the geekiest. I'm like this. This is probably one of the finest moments. This is my Mount Kilimanjaro. For anyone that knows me, like this is. When I was at the Dearborn Con and Dave Santia, the speed painter, I was just going to
say, you have a painting of him. Yeah, that's right.
That was painted in front of him, signed by him with Flash Gordon music playing. And it was up for auction. And Dennis Barger, I love him to death, but he hustled me because he marked me like the cheap wrestling fan I am. And I had the Flash Gordon t-shirt. That was like the second time, Jeff. Flash is like, nice t-shirt. And I go, yeah. I ordered it online. Like I was completely stuttering.
Yeah, you had no idea what to say. God, he engaged me.
Yeah. But it was an open bid for this because it went to some charity because the guy that ran this con like pretty much died broke in his funeral expenses and everything. So, and I'll never forget. This is why I freaking love my wife to death. And this thing got into the early 4 figures, right? And she goes, and I look at her and she goes, "Fuck it, we'll make more money." Like she knew damn well, like I needed to have this thing, and it's sitting right to my left in my office. But I do regret Dave Prowse was there. He was such a pretentious dick. He was signing everything the real Darth Vader, like opposed to who. Like we know you were the guy in the suit. Like Kenny Baker doesn't. He didn't do the beep boop bop boops. He just signs his.
The real R2.
Right. Like Prowse was like this air of him. He was like, and his went for like $250 signed by him. And I'm like, looking at it now, going, how did I not buy the damn Darth Vader head for $250? I was signed by him, But yeah,
I think he got the better deal.
I got the better deal. Yeah.
That's
but
some
yeah,
pretty incredible guests over the year, Bob. Like, I mean, you think about it, like for a tiny little show like IT and the D is, to have some of the talent, like you have to have some other favorites, like, or the drinking stories, like where.
Well, my all-time was Anthony Michael Hall at Astronomicon, because you do not expect someone like Anthony Michael Hall to like be like one of the guys. There's like, and he was probably the most genuine. We were talking about nothing and everything. Like I'm a horrible interviewer. Like, what was your favorite movie, and why was John Hughes? What was it like to work with? Like, I always hated the panels where they would go to Anthony Michael Hall and going, what was it like to work with Michael Keaton? And it's like, well, I want to know about you. Like, like you're in Detroit. What are you eating? Like, where are you going? Have you been to this place? You know what I mean? Like, we were we were talking about life, and like, obviously he had some charities and stuff he wanted to plug. I didn't care. But like, to me, like, and I got like 20 minutes with him, I think 15, 20 minutes. Absolutely fantastic. What a cool guy. My favorite story is, my daughter's a huge, like Walking Dead and Breaking Bad fan. She's like finding all the old stuff. And, the guy Jesus that was in Walking Dead, I was sitting between him and Jody from Shameless. I'm not a pothead, but when Jesus passes you a joint, you take a hit, God damn it. And I did. And but like, that was on the patio at Motor City Comic Con. Like, Jeff, who's all that? Like Dreda Mateo, like she's just hanging out there having a cigarette. Joey Lauren Adams. That was when we were hanging out with Billy
Joey Lauren
Zabka.
Adams was there. Oh. Yeah. Was that the same night where Jason Momoa grabbed Zabka and said, "You're leaving"?
Oh no! So all right, so let's do this one. Billy Zabka is telling us a story at the bar on how he was supposed to be Roy Stalin and Better Off Dead.
Yeah,
but he was signed to whatever pictures, and he had to do just one of the guys, which was kind of a lousy movie. And as he's sitting there telling us the story, and he could tell that we were like, eating this up like it's the best ice cream I've ever had.
Yeah, he was unraveling the yarn really slow because we were laughing it up, of course.
Yeah, good audience. It's kind of like you laugh at my jokes, like you're my best friend for like at least a half an hour. Right. Guys, like, come on, Billy, we got to get out of here. He's like, hey man, I'm talking to my buddies. We're like, oh shit, where's buddies? And then all of a sudden, here comes Jason Momoa, and he was just from not Lord of the Rings, whatever Game of Thrones.
He wasn't
Aquaman yet. He wasn't
he wasn't.
And he's like this, 6'4", like, I'm not gay, man, but I would have totally like gone home with him. He was a beautiful man. And he's like, Billy, come on. And he's like, no, dude, I'm talking to my buddies. Then all of a sudden, like 10 minutes later, you just hear Billy. And he's like, and he looks, and it's Joe Dirt's girlfriend. Her name was Brittany Daniel. Google her if you don't know who she is. And probably one of the most beautiful human beings I've ever seen in person. And he's like, later, and he just like jets off, like leaves the bar. And we're like, that was the best. Like, and literally, we were talking to him for probably 45 solid minutes of just him telling stories and us eating it up.
Totally.
But yeah, that's when the people that weren't. It's the mix of the people that aren't really big yet, and like getting to meet like Donald Gibb which was Ogre in Revenge of the Nerds, and having him, you're listening to a bunch of nerds, getting him to do a drop and being cool about it. That was the thing I didn't get. Like, the people that were cool and the people that, like, I don't like talking about the people that were dicks, but there's people that go to these cons that like don't want to be there. And it's kind of sad, I guess. I don't know. One more story about the cons, then we'll talk about something else. I got to tell the Dirk Benedict story, Jeff. I think you were there for that. This is Face Man from the A-Team, and his line was a mile long. Why? Because he couldn't stop talking. Like, everyone, he got stories for everyone. He's a sweetheart, man. And here I am walking up to like one of my heroes. It's Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica. He's a Face from A-Team. He's a god. And I go, and this is when I was DJing at the Post Bar Novi across the street. And I was DJing that night, and I go, Face Man, I go, I'm DJing across the street. The DJ booth's huge, leather couch, beautiful babies. There's like, it holds 1,000 people, hottest place in town. You got to come hang out with me tonight. And he goes, do they have single malt scotch? And I go, yeah. And his hand starts shaking like he just had like a out of body experience, and he goes, "Here's my number. Here's the room I'm staying at the hotel. Holler at me, and I'll get over there." So I'm like, fine. So I'm telling the whole bar, like, faces come in, the manager's all excited. So it's like 11, and I go, and he's like, Bob. So I go call him. I go in the back of the kitchen because it's quiet, and all of a sudden you just hear this, like, face, Bob, like, we gotta get you over the post. Smack. Hang up. I go, yeah, I don't think he's coming. I think he's drunk already. Yeah, no. Damn it. So,
opportunity closed.
Opportunity closed. But no, that was that's the one thing, like doing a stupid podcast, the things that you don't think going into this that it's going to afford you to like to be in these situations, right? And like getting a press pass, like for what? Like, and I laughed at some of the shows that like were you got
we got press passes. We got press passes for the auto show. It's like,
we did.
Why? Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
we were there for the press days. It's like, why?
That was that's one of the like the big things is the change in the auto industry, that they think they're software companies now, like the infotainment side and getting the monthly recurring revenue. I love to get your take, Nuri, because you're a Tesla guy, but like I just bought my daughter a Buick, and like I keep getting hammered on like, oh no, but you own one.
Yeah, I sold mine last week.
Oh, you did sell it finally?
I did. Yeah, I'm in a Lucid.
Oh,
ooh,
yeah,
how is that?
I love it. It's so much more luxury of a car. It's beautiful. Range is better. Build quality is better. It's quieter. It's great.
What was the brand?
Lucid. They're designed in California and they're assembled in Arizona.
Interesting.
And if you'd like my promo code, use the word IT in the D at checkout. Hey, we read some really interesting ads too over the year. We should come back to that at some point. But we can do it now. We can do it now.
No, we can do it now.
I was just looking through like my email, looking for ad roll copy, and it's hilarious.
I sleep on a Casper mattress to this day. I have a Scotty vest in.
Scotty vest.
Yeah.
Do you still shave with a hairy shaver?
No, I do not. I got a Christmas card from the president of Harry Shave Club. That was like, I think that was one of our first ones we signed. This was from M. Bradley Who's from Out Loud, where they booked us for a bunch, and that was one of our first. Like, I think we read for them for like 3 months. I remember reading for
we read for months.
Lenovo Kubernetes before like that was even a household word. I don't know if it is now, but it is in my world. But like all the Blue Apron
NSA recruitment.
Was it NSA recruitment?
We were doing the NSA recruitment we read for. Yes.
Are you looking them up?
And what was the one that dropped us because I thought Nuri was AI or fake or professional?
Oh yeah, because Nuri always delivers lines with absolute perfection, even while live. And so I remember hearing about this.
That was Fellows, wasn't it? Fellows dropped us because Nuri sounded too professional.
Yeah, because they wanted it more authentic. Was it Fellows printers? I remember those vividly. And they never sent us one. Like, that was the thing with Lenovo. Lenovo spent a ton of money on our show, and we're like, can you send out give me a VP, give me the biggest nerd, get someone out here. Like, for the money that they spent on our read, they could have flew someone out, like sat on our show, and they wouldn't do it. Like, it wasn't part of their, I'm looking NetSuite, Zapier. There was a lot of like the early stuff, like
Robinhood.
Was Robinhood did they get ad? That's crazy. Absolutely
Hover.
Crazy.
We had Hover for a long time.
Yeah, you know what? I know what you did an ad for because my internet is still using those routers. Eero.
We did Eeros. I use them in my house to this day.
I think we all have Eeros. Yeah, we all
got an Eero. Yeah, they work awesome.
Hover.com/IT in the D is still live.
Is it really?
And they just got a hit, and they're like, "Oh my god, they're back!"
They so like they were not happy with me because it didn't convert. Oh my god, it totally is live. And I tried to explain to them as an avid domain purchaser. I don't have nearly as many as I used to. I go, once you're locked in, like, you know how hard it is to like switch a registrar purchase. I go, it's not a thing. And the guy still didn't. He's like, well, I didn't. That was one of the few that like complained. Like no one else really complained. Like that guy was not happy with me.
I sometimes choose my registers just on hilarity because like Randy turned me on to pork bun. It's just fun to say pork bun.
I thought he said pork butt. Oh, here's
Randy
HostGator.
Also good.
There's Lenovo, HostGator, Atlassian, which is big now. That was before you even heard of them.
It's a little tiny company from Australia at one point.
Yeah. Giftogram. I remember that was early in the days. Yeah, these are. God, that's funny. And the stuff like we don't get sent stuff like Ming Chen does. He gets sent stuff like every week. It feels like, but like, yeah, like I remember like we're gonna give you guys like I remember Blue Apron. I think we had like 2 months, 3 months.
Blue Apron.
There was like 3 more of them, the food ones too. I remember like because our house would like as soon as like we would shift or switch, but yeah, it's and it's funny, like I don't like podcasting is a little different because I know like all my YouTube shows I watch, like I'm a big Screen Crush guy, and as soon as he's like, "Yeah, here's my new Juul like vape thing," I'm like, fast forward. So like,
dude, I love it. There's a button that says skip 30 seconds in the Tesla and skip 15 in the Lucid. I'm like, boom, 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 got down to a science.
Yeah.
Yep.
So as a Lucid, I'm just curious, are they trying to get you to like do monthly subscriptions or like are they trying to get you on some sort of a
even the connectivity they don't charge you extra for? Like Tesla would charge me $10 for the connectivity, $100 for full self-driving, or $8,000 if you want to buy it. I mean, BMW was charging, I saw, for heated seats or something, and there was something not long ago.
They pulled back on that because nobody wants to, like, no one wants these things. I'll go to events or whatever, and they'll be like, "This is the future of revenue of cars," and I'm like, "No, nobody."
Everything doesn't have to be a subscription. Seriously.
Yeah, especially when it's something that's just on or off. Like there's no value.
They save money, right? Because they take the car, they make the car the same for everybody, and then they just sell the features that the consumers want. So I understand the rationalization of the delivery process, right? But then nobody wants to pay a subscription for anything.
So here's the big shift, Nuri. There's a lot of we talked about the brain drain and like people leaving and like GM opening up in Austin and Ford bringing in a slew of people from Apple. And they're wired a certain way. It's not, we're sitting here in Detroit and, this is old school auto and they're bringing this, tech mentality to some of these old industries. The problem is it's, there's a lot of moving parts in some of these old companies. Not saying it's a bad thing, but like,
well, I mean, if you look at the new, like I test drove a bunch of cars, right? Makers like Hyundai are real all in on electric on their own platforms. Like I test drove the Cadillac Lyriq, which is a gorgeous SUV.
Looks fantastic.
But you get inside it, like, and there's so many screens, right? But then people complain about the software, though, right? So it's kind of it is a shift in trying to find these traditional manufacturers to be able to appify their cars, right? Like Tesla is an iPad on wheels. And everything that's the gold standard, and I don't know if it's in the DNA of these folks to actually get there.
Well, the other issue with that though is that the ethos of move fast and break things, when you deal with cars, that means people can die, right? Like moving fast and break things means people break. And that is a whole nother layer that I think a lot of these companies are also wrestling with. Tesla's had, everybody who's touched anything to do with self-driving. These are, you had the issues with Cruise. Waymo seems to be taking the lead, but there's still challenges with that. Like, there's just so much in this, culture clash that is still yet to play out. We're still in early days.
Well, I remember when we first started talking autonomous vehicles, and I said it's never. And same when EVs just started breaking out, and I said the state's going to lose on gas tax. And they're gonna have to figure out to either gas you by mile or tax you by mile. And I said, and if you have autonomous cars, like what the hell do you need insurance for if you can't get in an accident? You can't rear end one.
Did we say that that'll only be successful if every car on the road is autonomous?
Yeah.
Because even if there's one or two on the road that's driven by human, there's going to be bound for issues. And other states. I mean, Michigan's one of the last holdout states. I probably shouldn't say one of the last, but a lot of states, tax you by a mile. That's toll roads, right? I mean, we were just in Florida, Michigan charges.
They charge an additional, is it $150 per year to register an electronic vehicle?
Electric vehicle. Yep, they have the additional stuff, but also we spend the least per capita on our roads of any of our Great Lakes neighbors. Right. So we pay it in these other ways. And it shows. Yeah. It's one of those things of, I understand people don't want to pay money, but it definitely shows if you cross that, I hate to say it, but you cross that border and it's night and day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, dude, when I drove my Tesla home from Georgia, it actually switched into Michigan mode. It raised the air suspension as soon as it hit the Michigan state lines to detect the roads were bad.
There's actually a mode called Michigan. That's hilarious.
No, but I joked about it. I'm like, this is Michigan mode here. This is great.
Well, think about it. When's the last time you drove to Chicago, drove to Pittsburgh? Driving to Pittsburgh, I think it's $25, $22. Going on 80, 90.
From DC, it was 30, 37.
Yeah, go to Chicago.
I mean, that's the real...
$13, $18 to get to Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, that's the real cost of things, though, right? That's what it actually costs to make these things nice. So, that's the challenge with it, right? We have this idea here that with no toll roads, that's how we build things, and that's what we've chosen, but it also means it's going to be a different outcome, right? Just different choices, different places.
When the EMP bomb hits, you guys can all drive with me in my 76 Cadillac convertible where I have...
Oh, that was the best.
6 seat belts and 5 ashtrays and lighters. Yeah. That's with the 8-track playing Johnny Cash because it's the only one that I have.
You still have that?
I still have it. Yeah. We drove with the back when this was Detroit Net. We had the Detroit Net hockey jerseys. I still have that picture.
No, I know that, but that was 10 years ago. I'm talking about, do you still have that car now?
Yeah, it's in the garage. Well, when I had my knee, I haven't touched it in 5 years since I had my knee surgery or since I had my knee problem.
Gotcha.
I'm good now, so it'll be coming out as soon as weather breaks. The guy at the Aldean's Auto by the he wants to fix it. He'll probably do it for free. The way he's all excited about it. I showed him a picture and I said, I need to get this thing back on the road. My cousins are convinced it'll just start because he goes, that thing will just start. I'm going, I don't want to chance it. The carburetor.
You installed the horn from Caddyshack, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. It's not as loud as I thought. They said it was going to be 130 decibels. So I'm anticipating a jet engine. And it was not. There's got to be a button in there to turn it up louder because I'm not.
Yeah, there's got to be volume control.
I want people to jump, and no one's jumping. Nuri, I don't know if you've seen it. Yeah, you've driven in the car. You've seen it.
Down Woodward actually is a great picture of the three of us in the car. It was great. Yeah.
I'll get it back. Now that I'm going to be back in the 586 next year too, so it's gonna be nuts. Yeah, I'm going to Clinton Township, baby. Let's go.
Are you really?
You're moving to Clinton Township?
I am. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
All right.
Dude, I'm in a 3-story house with a striker knee in my left knee, man. This isn't a thing. I got to get out of here. So, should we talk future of tech, or is that too boring? You just want to bullshit about old stories? Because I'm fine either way.
You said you want to talk about movies or something. Is there even anything worth talking about in the theaters?
Oh, there's a movie that I'm so angry about. It's called Carry On with Jason Bateman. And it's kind of the premise is fantastic. The movie's really good. It flows very well. And I need to talk about this scene because I almost freaking broke my TV. This guy's in a truck, in a van, like a cleaning van, helping him out, Jason Bateman.
Is this a thriller or a horror film, or what is it?
It's like a phone booth, with Colin Farrell, where it's like a thriller, kind of edgy on your seat, it's like a chess movie, you know what I mean? He basically infiltrates the TSA to let him get through on an airplane so he can kill somebody on the plane. And he has a dirty bomb or something. Anyway, he's got a buddy helping him that's in a paint van with a little sniper hole. And the sniper rifle this guy brings is like, I'm not an expert on snipers, but it's like the one that the guy used in Shooter. Like it's like this, the one you shoot people from like 4 miles away snipers, like this massive 50 caliber. It's not just like a, Grandpa's 30-06. This thing was a beast, right? And they were messing with all these people. So it's like this one guy's husband was a hostage in the back of this thing, right? And the car gets in an accident. Don't, and he gets jarred loose and he unties himself. And as the bad guy's ready to kill the protagonist, like you just hear boom, and the bad guy's dead. And here's the husband in the back of this van, like with the sniper rifle in his hand, like with this Urkel face going, did I do that? And I'm just looking at this thing going, it was a 50 cal. It would have blown a bowling ball hole in the guy. And he hit him and the safety wasn't on. And there's just so much. I go, I can't do this. I got to turn. And my wife's like, just let's run through this. And I go, that's got to be the dumbest. Like someone on this set didn't like get angry when wait a minute. Like, let's reshoot this or shoot him with a pistol. No, like shot him with this Mark Wahlberg 50 caliber from, from 10 yards. And the guy just like a little small hole in his stomach. We're like, no, but the movie's.
Do you remember that movie Day of the Jackal from like the late 90s with Bruce Willis?
Name, I don't remember the movie.
Bruce Willis and Jack Black. No. Bruce Willis was a jackal and he was a terrorist. He was building a custom-made sniper rifle, and or he was having a custom-made sniper rifle by some tech guy that played by Jack Black. He was like, played a nerdy guy, and he built it, and he needed to test it, and he had Jack Black run out into the field and hold an apple. And Bruce Willis does the same thing like you're describing with this Jason Bateman film, where he like just blows his arm off from like 100 yards away. He's just trying to knock the apple out of his hand.
Hip shot.
The scene's so ridiculous. Yeah.
You'd think they would have people like consulting on these things, like and not right. Alec Baldwin. Did I say that?
Hey.
And then I caught the probably the worst Christmas movie in the long line of really bad Christmas movies. There's one that takes the cake as the worst Christmas movie ever made, and it's not
not Frosty.
No, it's not the Frosty the Snowman one where he kills people.
Is it the Red 9 or
Red one with the Rock?
Yeah.
I don't know what 8-year-old wrote that, like on a crayon, like on a sugar high. Like it was probably one of the worst written movies. And you'd think I would love it because like hung out with Krampus and like they went to like the demon lair with all like the Krampus is having a party, and you'd think I would love it. No, it's horrible. It's horrible. He had a Russian accent for one.
Well, the premise, like I couldn't figure out if it was one of those goofy movies where they're trying to make fun of themselves and they knew it. Kind of like Deadpool and Wolverine. Like I thought it was supposed to be like an hour and a half of one-liners type of thing, but you're saying it's not. You're saying that
J.K. Rowling Santa Claus and the Nuri just did, and the Rock is the head of his security detail, and it's ran like the Secret Service.
I saw that on Plex tonight, and I'm like, "There's no way I'm not going to do it."
It's bad. It's really bad. Like,
but did you see Jack Black as Satan in Santa, which was actually pretty decent for a
no.
So a dyslexic kid writes Santa, but instead writes Satan. It's actually a really, yes, it's actually not a bad premise, and Jack Black is Satan. So
it's called
we'll give away any more than that. But Dear Santa.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like I'm looking at the bad, like Christmas with the Cranks is probably the worst. I'm just like, it's top. Nuri, that was weird. I just put bad Christmas movies, right? And it says on Google, top Christmas movie picks. The first one is Jack Black, Dear Santa, which I've never seen in my life.
It was great.
It was listening to me. No, it's listening because like, why would that be a top movie pick? And it said Krampus right after that. I don't like Google anymore.
I like Krampus. That's a good movie.
It's a horrible movie, Randy. Randy totally glossed over the fact that Google's listening to me talking to you guys and like made my search based on. That was one of the craziest things on our show. Nuri, that was one of the craziest things on our show when we figured out that Google was always on when I think Jess was yelling at it to play music, and you thought the recording started when we said, "Okay, Google, play Aerosmith." I'll never forget this. And basically, you would play like the recordings back, and it heard her yelling, "Okay, Google, play Aerosmith." You're like, wait a minute, I thought that would be the trigger to start the recording. No, it's on. Like that was
she would yell at it to play Fat Bottomed Girls. And that was the thing that she would always do. She'd poke her head in my room and say, "Okay, Google, play Fat Bottomed Girls," and then mine's going to start doing it now. But it's creepy. And there's been the weird incognito mode lawsuits that have happened recently as well. So I don't know.
Well, wasn't that your joke 10 years ago when the Amazon Echoes came out? You'd walk into somebody's house with an Alexa to say, "Alexa, order me toilet paper and Funyuns," or something like that.
That was the one thing that never took off, the Slim Jim button. I think we got one once at the studio where you just push the button and then it would ship you Slim Jims. And I'm like, again, it goes back
was that an Amazon dash button?
Yes, it was. Slim Jims had a dash button. But the fact that somebody sat in a boardroom and they contemplated, like, okay, Tide, yep, makes sense. Milk, sure. Slim Jims, yes, we have to. Like, yes. The fact that Pabst or Slim Jims never sponsored our show either, it's blasphemous how much.
They got so much free advertising off of that. Oh my god.
Hot and Frosty. What is that? Oh my god, it's bad. I'm looking at bad Christmas movies. There's all these. I had to watch a couple with my wife, the Hallmark ones. Those, like, to me,
oh my god,
there's nothing worse. There's nothing.
You know what? It's what actors, I like. Same music.
I liked Violent Night. That one wasn't awful. It was with the guy from Stranger Things, and it was like Santa, but it was kind of like the one with Mel Gibson. Did you see that? Those two were not bad movies. It was like Mel Gibson was like just Santa, but he was just kind of like just some dude living like a lumberjack up in like Alaska, and like there was like a hitman came to hit, like, and he was like pulled out all the old stops because he used to be a badass back in the day. Yeah, Violent Night and what's the Mel Gibson one? Do you remember? Did no one see that?
No, I hadn't seen that. No. I haven't even seen Violent Night. I hadn't even heard of it. I'll have to pull that one
Mel
up.
Gibson, it's called Fat Man. Yeah, Fat Man and Violent Night. Those are if you're in a mood
like Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, if you're not Fat Man. Yeah. They got
David Harbour, the guy from Stranger Things. He'd be a perfect Santa. That's hilarious. I'm gonna have to watch this.
Yeah, but he's like a hit. He's got like hitman skills. It's kind of bad. I think Bad Santa is the one that broke the mold. To this day, that's one of my favorite movies. Non-seasonal, seasonal.
That was just on TV the other night.
Bad Santa. Did you watch the edited WTBS version? Is that what?
It was probably like 20 minutes long. Yeah,
30-minute long movie. Yeah.
I've had it with these mother snakes on this mother plane.
Exactly. I remember my favorite dub over of all time was National Lampoon's Vacation, when he asked, "Hey, do you know how to get back on the highway?" The guy said, "F your mama." And the edited version was, "Who do you think I am, Christopher Columbo?" And I just freaking cried laughing. It was one of the funniest things. We've been at it for an hour. Usually the new show's been going for a half an hour. I just, from the bottom of my heart, like, you guys have been such a big part of my life. Like Jeff, Nuri, Jer, Randy, like to be able to do this for 10 years, like, seriously, I love you guys very much. I sincerely appreciate the friendship, the camaraderie, the help, the all the things. Like, I can look, this is like something I genuinely are going to put on my tombstone. Like that I'm proud of the shit we did. And I sincerely appreciate you guys, like, more than you'll ever know. And I'm not going to kiss you because we're virtual. We're not in the studio. But no, I
likewise, man. It's been a blast. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Maybe next time we can be in the studio.
Yeah, we should do this again in the studio. This should have been done. We should have done this in the studio.
At the Russell.
Yeah.
No. We could just show up there, Nuri.
Yeah.
And then beers at the fire pit in my yard.
Yeah. Detroit Shipco, man. Yeah, we'll come to the new spot. So I'll we'll set something up. But no, we're gonna wrap things up for this episode 500. Asterisk. We're gonna asterisk this because someone canceled this week, so it's $4.99. But it's
Who'd have thunk
500.
it? Bob, to think like we didn't think we were gonna get past episode 3.
No,
and here we're at 500.
500.
Unreal.
Yeah. A lot of good times. So, on behalf of all of us, because you've all been a part of this, we're going to sign things off. So go drink up your drinks, get your phone numbers. You don't got to go home. You just got to get the hell out of here. See you next week. Drive careful. Merry Christmas. Beat it.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Okay.